What is up, y'all? Pro Baller back again with another video where today I'm going to be previewing the Lions versus Commanders divisional round matchup. Now, as y'all know, Lions fan, big Lions fan up in here, and the Lions are going to be facing off against the Washington Commanders at Ford Field at 8 p.m. on Saturday. It should be a very entertaining game, and honestly, I think it's going to probably be the most high-scoring game of the playoffs. It's just both defenses have had issues, and I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. So let's get into it. So I'm going to be going over a couple keys for the offense and the defense for the Lions. A lot of stuff needs to happen for the Lions to win this game, because the Commanders, yes, they are a young team with Jaden Daniels leading that offense, but they are also a very, very talented team, and at times can be very, very good. So for the Lions, their offensive keys, we're going to start off first with running the ball. Ben Johnson, I'm just going to say this right now, we cannot see a repeat of week 2. Cannot see a repeat of week 2.
Flashback.
They failed. The Lions failed because too many pass plays. Too many pass plays, too many dumb pass plays. You had 55 attempts to get us more than a measly 16 points, and you couldn't do it. You couldn't even get us a touchdown. Jahmyr Gibbs had a great game, but Ben Johnson, for whatever reason, just don't give him the ball. Who cares? We don't need to give Gibbs the ball. He's just
End of flashback.
Got to run the ball here in this game. Got to run the ball because the Commanders also, just ignoring the whole pass attempts thing, the Commanders have the third worst run defense in the entire league. The third worst. So the Lions have to take advantage of that. They have let up 2,337 rushing yards this season, and they have let up 137.5 rushing yards a game. And that is without versing the Detroit Lions, who have not only Gibbs, but David Montgomery. So Ben Johnson has got to be on his game for this game, and he's got to run the ball. The second key I have is, with running the ball, you got to have a strong offensive line. So the Lions, they do have a strong O-line, but they have been inconsistent this year especially. I've seen a lot of games like the Buccaneers game and last week even against the Vikings where the O-line just struggled, could not get in their rhythm at all, and it took them like at least until like middle second half, late second half to finally get in that rhythm. Goff was pressured through two picks or one pick. I'm not 100% sure. And then almost a safety because the O-line completely capitulated against the Vikings defensive line. So once again, with running the ball, the O-line's going to have to be on their game today. Cannot see missed blocks. They're going to have to really be on top of their game, especially considering it's the playoffs. Like, this is your one shot. If you screw up, you're cooked. So the O-line cannot afford to screw up on Saturday. They cannot afford to screw up at all. Got to be on top of their game. Probably going to have one of their best games because also the Commanders love to blitz. If I'm not mistaken, the Commanders have the 6th highest blitz percentage this year, and the Lions are just on top of that at number 5. So we'll get into the defensive keys here in a minute, but for the Lions, gotta run the ball. I don't want to rage like week 2 again.
I'm done. I am done.
Ben Johnson didn't freaking run the ball at all, and he just passed it with 55 pass attempts with Goff, which was insane. Never seen that out of the Ben Johnson offense. So I really hope that they run the ball and that they have a strong game from their offensive line. Now, if the Lions do pass the ball, they have to have minimal turnovers. Goff has to be on his game. And I know it's rough having to have all these players have to be on top of their game, but with how electric that Washington offense is with Jaden Daniels, who has looked phenomenal this year, you cannot afford to. You got to limit his opportunities. And you got to do that by having minimal turnovers. Goff cannot have a bad game. Cannot have a Texans game repeat performance. I can't even speak because that game brought me PTSD, but Goff cannot have that type of game. Has to have a good game. Maybe one pick would be fine, but more than that is going to really be costly. So Goff got to have minimal turnovers, and that applies to the rest of the offense too. No stupid fumbles, no stupid force or fumble sacks, strip sack. Can't have that. But the Lions also have to dominate time of possession. Just like I said a minute ago, cannot let Jaden Daniels just have all day on the field. Gotta limit his opportunities, and the way we'll do that is by dominating time of possession. So the Lions, they gotta run the ball, but to run the ball, they have to have a strong game from their offensive line. But they've also got to have minimal turnovers to limit Jaden Daniels' opportunities. But they also got to have a very good offensive game and dominate the time of possession. So it all kind of coincides, like it all like links together. To run the ball, you got to have a strong offensive line. You got to have a good offensive line to efficiently run the ball. And then to stop Jaden Daniels, you got to have minimal turnovers and dominate time of possession. But to dominate time of possession, you usually run the ball. So it all links together. So that's what the Lions offense has to do. Don't need to have a phenomenal game from Goff. Just need to have a good game from him. Just very few picks. And then the receiving crew also has to do their thing. Can't have drop passes. Reynolds.
Flashback.
Now, Josh Reynolds has been pretty good all year. He's had some really good moments, some clutch moments. But he's had some moments where he drops a pass. And you think, oh, it probably won't affect us later on. When it literally cost us the game.
Hell yeah! What the hell? What the hell? Reynolds!
He not only dropped one pass on the first fourth down try. No, he drops it on 3rd and 10 after the fumble touchdown, the fumble that resulted in the touchdown.
Yeah, cannot have those type of drops, especially in the playoffs. Now, for the Lions' defensive keys, this is going to be a big test for Aaron Glenn, who I've had a lot of issues with Aaron Glenn in the past, and he did really good last week. Really, really good. Really happy with that whole defense. But then there's games like the Niners where they looked awful. It's just Aaron Glenn, the first key for him, contain Jaden Daniels. Aaron Glenn refuses to do QB spies. He's talked about it. Cannot have that today. Or not today, sorry. Cannot have that in this game. Cannot. Gotta contain Jaden Daniels. Now, you can either do that with the QB spy, or you can just run QB contain. Can get Jaden Daniels to stay in the pocket. Gotta do something like that. Cannot just let him run out of the pocket, because that's where he's most dangerous. When he's out in open space. Cannot let him run all over us, and even just get out of the pocket to do those improviser type plays. Cannot let that happen. But with what comes with that is pressuring him. Cannot let him just have the chance to run out of the pocket if we bring like a 4-man rush. We gotta pressure Jaden Daniels, which is my second key for the Lions defense. Pressuring him is going to be huge because he's a rookie. He's going into enemy territory 2 weeks in a row, and Ford Field is going to be a lot more hostile than Tampa was. No offense to Buccaneers fans, but I watched the game last night. This is being made on Monday, and I don't know, the fans. You could hear the Commanders fans just cheering or booing when the frickin' Buccaneers are on the field. But yeah, pressuring Jaden Daniels is going to be huge because he's a rookie. And the Commanders run a spread offense. So what comes with that is my third key. The Lions gotta have zone blitzes. Zone blitzes are very effective to stop the spread offense. And Aaron Glenn, that's the problem with Aaron Glenn, and that's what makes me a little bit worried about this game. He doesn't do QB spies very often, and he loves his man coverage. He loves man coverage. So zone blitzes honestly might be not out of the equation, but I really hope that he at least implements a few, because zone blitzes are very good to stop the spread offense. They cause a lot of confusion amongst, especially with a rookie quarterback. That's like a recipe for disaster for Jaden Daniels with a not so great receiving crew. I know Terry McLaurin's really good, but the rest of that receiving crew, honestly, I don't even think they have anybody else in the top 50 in the offense or in the NFL for receptions, yards, any of that. So I think that if the Lions defensively can contain Jaden Daniels, can pressure him, and get some zone blitzes in, it'll be a very good game. My worry is that I don't know if Aaron Glenn's going to do that. Aaron Glenn at times can be very stubborn with his defense. That's nothing against him as a person or anything. Once again, I like to just say this because I know people like to say, oh, you're going too harsh on them and stuff, but it's true. Aaron Glenn, he shows up sometimes. He definitely does. He has really good games like last week. But then there's games where he just refuses to adjust. Had a lot of those games in the past, and it's caused me to rage. I have vivid memories of those games. So I hope Aaron Glenn can implement these defensive keys. And same thing with Ben Johnson, dude. Ben Johnson also at times he definitely is more willing to adjust from what I've seen from watching the games. But at the same time, he also is very stubborn on some plays. He's like, all right, we want to run this play. Like, even if it's something stupid like a jet sweep or screen plays, that is the most common one. Last week, I think, it was last week, almost had 2 pick sixes. Van Ginkel dropped the pass or dropped the pick on a screen pass because he knew it was coming. Ben Johnson had ran that play way too many times. The Vikings defense was in on it, and if Van Ginkel hadn't dropped that pick, which would have definitely been a pick six, because he had no one in front of him, that game could have been very different. I think that was in like the second quarter, so they would have had a lead going into the half. It would have not been good for the Lions at all. So, yeah, Ben Johnson also is going to have to be willing to adapt during this game. But just final thoughts here. I mean, this is probably one of the better draws we could have got for our first game. I did not want to play the Vikings at all because I think they're going to be up to play us. The Vikings-Rams is going to be a good matchup, but I do think the Vikings will win. And I'm glad that the Commanders won last night. I was kind of iffy about it because, oh, man, Aaron Glenn cannot stop mobile quarterbacks, which it's been proven time after time he can't. So I'm hoping that he can. But so I was worried about that. But then again, Washington has way less weapons than both the Rams and the Vikings, and they have a very poor run offense. That's another thing, y'all. Another key. We'll just add a little extra key. Gotta stop the pass, because if the Lions can stop Jaden Daniels on the ground and then limit him in the passing game, this game will be over. The Commanders' offense will have no chance at all. Gotta stop the pass as well. I know that's gonna be tough, or at least limit it. Limit Jaden Daniels to at least under 300 yards, and I think the Lions will be good. Cannot let him have a 400-yard type Lamar Jackson-esque game. Cannot let that happen. But yeah, it should be a very fun game. Now, as from my prediction, I'm saying this, y'all. A lot of people are like, yeah, this revenge game for 1992, baby. But I don't know, bro. I think this is going to be a way closer game than a lot of people think. But I think that the Lions are going to pull away. I think that they're going to win this game 31-24. It is going to be a very close game, even though it's only a touchdown game. I think it's going to be very close. But I do see Gibbs having a good game. Monty, I mean, he might come back, but he's probably not going to get a lot of snaps. Or at least I hope he would not, bro. If Dan Campbell plays him with his normal workload, we're going to have a talk about that. We're going to have to make a whole separate video on that because I know it's the playoffs, but bro, there was a potential for David Montgomery to be out for the season. So we cannot let him have his normal workload in this game. Cannot let it happen. Gibbs is going to have to be our workhorse, and he's shown he can do that. In my opinion, he's running back 1 at this point. Done more than enough to prove it. And yeah, so I think it's going to be a good game, but I think the Lions are ultimately going to win, which is going to set them up to either play the Eagles, the Vikings, or the Rams, which in my opinion, I don't think it's going to happen, but I would love for the Rams to win tonight, and I would love for them to beat the Eagles because I think we could beat Stafford. Very dysfunctional offense over there in LA. And I don't know. I think if we play the Vikings, which I do think that's going to happen in my prediction, I laid that out that the Lions are going to play the Vikings in the conference chip. I still could see that happening, but I would definitely prefer to play the Rams. And then it honestly goes Rams, Vikings, Eagles. I really don't want to play the Eagles, to be honest, because once again, mobile quarterback. And the problem with that is that, oh yeah, it's just a mobile quarterback. We can limit him like we've done sometimes with Aaron Glenn, but they have Saquon Barkley, who's 2,000 yards this year, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and a way better defense than any of the teams left in the NFC. So don't want to play the Eagles, but I do want to play the Vikings or the Rams. And if the Lions advance, they will play one of those 3 teams. So, but that's going to wrap it up for this video. Quick little video for y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed. And don't forget to like and sub. Peace out.